Mario Sunshine's Blue Coin Challenge is perhaps one of the biggest teases I've ever experienced in all of 3D Mario. And I'm somehow both ecstatic and enraged to discuss this. I won't hold my cards close to my chest. I didn't discover anything here that was super groundbreaking. I didn't learn the best way to go through this challenge or discover that people were too hard on it. Honestly, I don't think people have been hard enough on the blue coins. And I'm not talking about folks that hate Mario Sunshine and hate excessively on the blue coins. Those people, well, to be nice about it, have probably been more of a detriment to the gaming community. But I won't get into that. That's more of a Sonic retrospective type of discussion. This is going to be a different type of Nintendine video. You can already tell it is because he just referred to himself in the third person. Seeing as how there are 240 coins and I have absolutely zero interest in running through all of them, this video is going to be more of a focus on the macro discussion of the infamous coins, rather than a specific detailed walkthrough like I normally do. Don't worry, I'm still going to get into weirdly specific details that are never clear enough for my audience to understand but make full sense to me in my brain before I put them into words. So I guess it won't be that different of a Nintendine video. I do think it's important to analyze the public discourse of these coins. They are easily the most controversial aspect of Sunshine. Sure, the watermelon, pachinko, and lily pad shines make up a lot of it, and I think the secret challenge areas carry a lot of weight. In general, those are things a player will suck it up and move past. Blue coins, on the other hand, seem to be a hard line for most people. A lot of this will be anecdotal, but in my experience, the blue coins are either excessively defended or profoundly hated. I think both of these approaches don't do the actual challenge justice. The reality is that this is an awesome experience that was poorly executed. Honestly, this could be the title of the entire retrospective. It's true though. Episode-specific blue coins are unforgivable in the means of which they're implemented. The means of which the collection is actually tracked would make an early 90s 2D platformer blush for being too kind to the player. And the full completion bonus is so underwhelming that I can't help but wonder why they even bothered putting anything in there at all. All of these things can be true, and I won't try to defend them in the same way I've seen hardcore Sunshine fans do. However, the Blue Coin collection, for me, is probably the most enjoyable aspect of this game. I'm serious. I just spent hours upon hours spraying the hell out of this game, and hundreds of prompts to save the game can't ruin how enjoyable that was for me. And I'm not exactly sure if I enjoyed this because I decided to leave all of the coins for the end. There's a realistic chance that I might have enjoyed grabbing all of the blue coins even if I did them as I progressed through the entire game. But doing it this way, it made me feel like I just played two different games. And I actually think having done Delfino Plaza's shines last for the Shine collection served as the perfect gateway to the Blue Coin experience. Actually, I'll take that a step further. A few segments ago I complained about 3 of the secret shines, those being the Dune in Gelato Beach, the Golden Bird in Noki Bay, and Spraying the Sun in Pianta Village. I would like to take back those complaints. Those 3 shines were actually more useful than I thought. The experience of finding those shines somewhat rewired my brain as I transitioned from the base stages to Delfino Plaza, but completely changed the way I approached the blue coin search. I was not conditioned to search for them when I was going for the secret shines because they felt extremely out of place, but I didn't realize at the time that they were going to condition me into everything that followed. In hindsight, I think if I were playing this game the way a normal player might, that being someone that searches for blue coins as they progress through the game and giving them more thought as they advance, then there's a good chance I'd have stumbled upon them while looking for blue coins and have been completely blown away. I only saw them as bad shines in the context of someone that was starved of searching and exploring all of Delfino Isle had to offer. But let me take a quick step back. I don't want to continue gushing for the sake of gushing. I want to bring out the analytics, because I'm a nerd and I love numbers. There are 240 blue coins, 10 of which are in Corona Mountain, so let's leave those to the side since I'm going to head to the final boss in the next segment. Of the 230 remaining, 20 are in Delfino Plaza. Not all of them are available to find from the start, about half of them are, but you'll be able to access more of them as you unlock the various nozzles and Yoshi. So it's still worth searching as you go through the game if you'd like, because you won't be able to access the areas later on that the later ones are available in. But I'd prefer just saving them for the end and going for all 20. It's really up to the player. Without going into specifics, I'd wager a casual player would be able to find about 15 of them without much of a thought. I'm talking spraying graffiti, scaling the underground sewer, and spraying some bluebirds. There are a few that involve interacting with Piantas, and those are pretty straightforward, with the only one that's a true pain in the butt being the one that involves rolling durians to the basket. Screw that blue coin. Outside of that, I'd say the most well-hidden ones are the ones that involve the turbo nozzle to the base of the pillars near Gelato Beach, and the one back at the airstrip because I didn't even think to search there. Honestly, I say 15, but it might actually be 17 that are easy enough to grab, with the durian being the worst of it, but it's not even that hard to find, it's just hard to go through what's necessary to grab it. Admittedly, there's more spraying of graffiti, birds, or whatever that goop that Yoshi is needed for spraying than I'd like, but I don't think the spraying is the challenge, I think the search is. And all in all, I'd say Delfino Plaza's blue coin search passes in that aspect. I don't think it's crazy enough to require a guide, and I think even if a player were to end up needing to rely on a guide, it would be a quick search and discovery, and probably a facepalm because it wasn't actually that hard. We'll call the plaza a win for the blue coins. Outside of Delfino Plaza, there are 210 coins remaining across the 7 stages, meaning 30 per stage. The simplest recommendation I can make to someone determined to avoid using a guide unless absolutely necessary is to do the blue coin search in episode 8 of every stage, but accept that you may not be able to find all of the coins in that episode. If you're someone that thrives in searching and doesn't care about how long it takes, nor if you feel like you're wasting your time, then I'd recommend starting from episode 8 and working your way backwards to episode 1. But if you're not a masochist, I'd say look up a guide that at least specifies the best episode to search to get the highest number of blue coins per stage. That was my method, and I went in blind beyond that. Basically, after I was certain I got every coin available in the episode, that's when I felt I had my fill and used the guide to tidy up the search. Quite frankly, by the time I pulled up the guide, I was ready to move on. I felt satisfaction and was no longer interested in wasting any time. When I grabbed the guide, it would generally be only 1 or 2 coins that I had missed in the same episode I was certain I had conquered, as well as the location of the coins in the other episodes. But by then, I was done, so I just grabbed those coins. This may not work for everyone, but it works for me. A game is only fun if you allow it to be fun, and I don't like fighting against my enjoyment. You gotta know when to fold them, and since I knew this whole challenge was broken, I gladly folded. So I felt I got the best of both worlds. I got to enjoy the search and collectathon aspect, but was able to lean onto a guide in order to not sour the taste. Some might consider this bad game design, and it probably is. But quite frankly, I don't think I've ever 100% completed a collectathon without looking up a guide at some point. Now, I'm not saying I'm using a guide for 20% of the collectibles, but I'd say 5 to 10% is acceptable. But that's just me. The guide that I use and I would recommend is a post on Reddit that I'll link in the description. It's all mapped out in there, but I primarily just opened it up to check each optimal episode and then closed it. But once again, that's just me. You can use the guide or not use it. It's all up to how you enjoy your game, and not me nor anyone else can gatekeep and decide the right way for you to enjoy a video game. That being said, as far as optimal episodes are concerned, you can grab all 30 coins in Bianco Hills in episode 8, 5 of which are a bit more obscure, which I'd consider acceptable. Bianco Hills passes, but only in the context that you looked up to start in episode 8. You can grab 26 out of 30 coins in Rico Harbor in episode 8. The remaining 4 are split between episodes 1 and 2. And of the 30, I'd say probably 2 of them are obscure. Once again, I'd say this is entirely acceptable of a challenge. Rico Harbor passes. But again, only in the context that you looked up to start in episode 8. Actually, can I just caveat this statement from now? I'm automatically going to assume that you looked up the optimal episode, because if you don't, it kinda gets too subjective, which is what I was trying to allude to earlier. I can't determine everyone's tolerance level for this kind of game, so I'm grading it based on my own tolerance levels, so just keep that in mind as I continue. You can grab 27 out of the 30 coins in episode 4 of Gelato Beach, with the remaining 3 in episode 6. Although there is one in both episode 4 and 6 that is much easier with a rocket nozzle, so that one can go both ways. The only 4 in this stage that I'd classify not as obscure but as annoying are the 4 in the Sandbird stage. Although, now that I've learned that when a bird rotates I shouldn't be jumping, it's not nearly as bad. Regardless, I'd still consider 27 out of 30 coins in a single episode, with none of them being too obscure as a passing challenge. Pina Park has 24 coins in episode 6, with the remaining 4 in episode 2. Again, this passes for me. There aren't any crazy obscure ones, and the 24 coins is plenty enough to search for the entire stage. I can tell you from now, Serena Beach is probably the worst stage if you're adamant on 100%ing the game. The best episode for the stage as a whole is technically episode 7, but there are 4 coins outside of the hotel, only available in episode 6, and 3 coins in the casino, which means 21 coins are available throughout the hotel and outside in episode 7, but even then, of the 30 coins, about 8 of them are probably too obscure. Serena Beach was basically a hand-holding stage for me. It makes full sense to me because the actual 11 Shine collections in the stage were pretty obscure and required lots of search and discovery, so the Blue Coin Challenge took it up a level. whereas the blue coins in all of the other stages basically took those stages up to the level of Serena Beach. I can completely forgive Serena Beach for the blue coin challenge because it was one of my favorite stages during the Shine collection, but I will have to say that the blue coin challenge in this stage fails pretty badly in that even with a guide it's not as enjoyable. You'll more than likely need to do a full blue coin by coin walkthrough to get this one over the line. Noki Bay is best done in episode 6 where it houses all but 4 of the blue coins. This stage already passes because 26 of the 30 in a single episode is pretty good, and the way you maneuver and search around these stages is still fun as it was for me during the Shine collection. But the neat thing is that the remaining 4 shines are all in the awesome underwater ruins area that we fought the eel in. You can get there in episode 4 or episode 8 and actually look around and search. I love this whole area. It's surreal. It reminds me a lot of Wet Dry World. Something about the aura.
There it is! There it is!
Noki Bay passes, but there's probably anywhere between 2 and 6 obscure coins depending on if you think the underwater ruins are obscure. Pianta Village is similar to Serena Beach in that I felt I had already searched a lot of the stage prior to starting the Blue Coin Challenge. So I can forgive it for requiring multiple episodes, but I would ultimately have to give it a failing grade. But I will say it's better than Serena Beach. Only 19 blue coins are available in the optimal episode, episode 6, and the remaining are spread between 3 different episodes. It sounds terrible on paper, but really it's not that terrible. It's just bad. Yeah, that's my defense. For example, the burning Piantas you saved in an earlier episode make up 5 of those 11 blue coins, and I realize not everyone will think to speak to those NPCs, but I did, and I never speak to NPCs. Which means if you remove those blue coins, you have 25 remaining, and only 1 of them is in episode 8 while 5 are in episode 3. So it's not the worst spread. Plus 3 of them are pretty obscure. Like I said, it's not terrible, it's just bad. Pianta Village, unfortunately, also fails here. You might notice that I'm not going in depth about the actual blue coins themselves, and that's because I'd have to double the length of this retrospective if I was going to do that. There are literally twice the number of blue coins as there are shines in this game. And I'm just not equipped enough to go into specifics, but I do think I handle it pretty well without glossing over it too much. Also, this might sound like a cop-out, but in the event that some of you are going to play this game because of my retrospective, which isn't the craziest thing for me to assume because I get commenters mentioning that they did that all the time, I don't want to ruin the fun of the Blue Coin Challenge for you. It's too much fun to blindly search for blue coins in Mario Sunshine for me to get into the details as much as I normally would. But to summarize, if you look up the recommended episode per stage, the numbers are Bianco Hills, 30 blue coins, Rico Harbor, 26 blue coins, Gelato Beach, 27 blue coins, Pina Park, 25 blue coins, Serena Beach, 21 blue coins, Noki Bay, 26 blue coins, and Pianta Village, 19 blue coins. If we strictly look at it from the angle and assume that players are not completely dead set against using a guide but still want to be able to search to their heart's content without being guided on the specific location of the coin, only 36 out of 210 blue coins will ruin the blind searching experience if we assume that they're automatically just going to collect the remaining blue coins and not go out of their way to blindly search the episode-specific ones if they're still having fun. Basically, 17% of the blue coins can potentially ruin the fun if we have the same definition of fun, with 20 of those 36 coins being in Serena Beach and Pianta Village. Personally, I'd consider that pretty good. And look, some of these coins are going to be more obscure than others, and many of them I'll consider impossible to figure out on your own while others may find it simple. But I honestly don't think that's too different than any other collectathon I've played. I didn't find every moon in Mario Odyssey with ease, and I put in way more hours than I ever thought I would. I can't begin to count the amount of times I felt Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom felt like they were going to drive me crazy because I couldn't figure out how to access a specific area or solve a puzzle. These are all things that I would say are pretty common in any of the best games that require search and discovery. This is part of the reason I'm not going into the specifics of the blue coins and tallying which ones are actually pull out your hair worthy like I did with the shines, because I think the blue coin collection of Mario Sunshine has been unfairly made out to be worse than it actually is. And when I say unfair, what I'm specifically talking about is that it's punished for something that most other collectathons aren't punished for. There is a fair way to criticize the Blue Coin Challenge of Mario Sunshine, and I'm not saying I'm an infallible prophet that has all of the answers, but I think I've found where the line is. When it comes to the blue coins, it is poor game design that they weren't all available in a single episode and more or less require outside resources to figure out which episodes you need to search in order to not waste your time chasing smoke. That is a fair criticism of the collection specifically in Mario Sunshine, and could very well make a player hate the game, and they'd be justified in doing so if they felt that way. I won't take away from that. However, when it comes to the blue coins, I don't think it's poor game design that a percentage of them are probably too hard to find without a guide for the average player. I don't know what the going percentage rate is for acceptable usage of a guide in a collectathon, but I don't think Mario Sunshine is drastically worse than the industry standard whether you're comparing it to the games from the early 2000s or games from today. These two criticisms shouldn't be stacked. The episode-specific coins is a problem with Mario Sunshine. The need of a guide in a collectathon is a symptom of a genre. The problem is I think when players are already frustrated about one aspect, they start adding every aspect onto it. It's like a hate snowball. Here's an example of a thought process I imagine someone would have. I can't find the 28th blue coin, therefore I have to use a guide, and I'm so mad it's in the wrong episode. This game sucks because I had to use a guide. And in fact, the whole game sucked because every shine in there was as bad as a pachinko machine and watermelon, and I spent more than 3 hours chasing Shadow Mario around. It's the typical straw that broke the camel's back. Sonic 06 was a glitchy mess, which meant the snowball kept rolling until people decided Sonic having too many friends was the issue. Causation versus correlation and all that fun stuff. Anyway, I think I've just about said all I can think of, and I really don't want to ramble on about this. At the top of this segment, I said I love and hate this challenge, and I think people should be harder on it. And the reason I say that, the reason I both love and hate the Blue Coin Challenge, is because it was so damn close to being flawless. All they needed was every coin available in episode 8. That would have done it for me. And that makes me hate the Blue Coin Challenge because it actually was so much fun and so close to perfection. But alas, I also love it because what we got, and how I went about it, was so much fun. The best way to probably enjoy the Blue Coin Challenge is to just search until you stop having fun. The completion bonus isn't worth it. If you're someone that doesn't strive to be a completionist, this whole conversation probably doesn't apply to you, and you'll have enjoyed yourself anyway. And if you're someone that does strive to be a completionist, click on the link in the description for the post where the blue coin maps were shared and determine how you want to go about the search. Granted, most of you will have more experience with this game than I do, so you probably already know the optimal way of playing this game that works for you. And if you haven't played this game yet, then I'm glad I didn't go into specifics about the blue coin locations themselves, because between all of the ruckus, there's a lot of fun to be had if you're just down to search and discover in your collectathons. All I can stress now is that I love the Blue Coin Challenge. This was peak post-Mario content for me. I went through linear objectives and accomplished those, and came back to search for all of the goodie extras. I've done this so many times throughout the years, and some of them were more difficult than others, but they were always an enjoyable treat. And the blue coins in Mario Sunshine were no exception. Let's head over to Corona Mountain now and wrap all of this up.